Welcome to today's episode of Soap Thing Thoughts. Joining me today is Craig of Opus Shaving. Welcome to the Soap Thing Project, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Craig is a brush maker. Tell us about yourself, Craig. How did you get into brush making? Let's start with that.
Well, I've been working with wood since about 10 years old, and it just kind of grew into that. My dad made me a shaving brush for my birthday one year. This was a while ago, and I used it, but I abused it. I didn't know how to take care of it. And I don't know what the quality of the actual badger hair was, but I just basically destroyed the brush.
It's sad. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I know. So then I got a lathe, and I was like, well, I'm going to make myself a shaving brush. And I started with pool balls because it was readily available. It was cheap. At the time, I didn't have a pressure pot. So I just started turning these, and then somebody saw it and said, can you make me one? Can you make me one? And then it just kind of took off from there.
So your style of brush making is interesting because you are one of those brush makers that has, let's just say, kind of a short attention span. Like you'll make a handful of brushes that are made out of old billiard balls, and then you'll move on to making a handful of brushes that are lizard scales, and then you'll make a bunch that have, I don't know, dinosaur eggs inside of them. So I have to ask, because I'm pretty sure people are curious, like what decides like what you do from one week to the next?
Well, first of all, I have like an ADD. You've already figured that out. So my attention span is very short. And whatever, I get inspired. People ask something, hey, can you do this? And it either will spark my interest and I'll do it, or I'm like, no, I'm not, because I don't really like doing too much custom stuff. It's too in a box. People say, oh, no, I don't care. And then I'll put it out there and they're like, no, that's not what I was looking for. And I was like, oh. So it's kind of difficult to work custom. I like kind of freestyle. And as far as inspiration, I'll just see a design or a car or something. And then I just take that and take off. And I'll do a few. I don't like doing any two brushes the same. So all of these brushes I make are either way different or a little bit different. There's none two the same.
Right. So for those of you who are watching who think you might be interested in one of his brushes, he's made it plainly clear. He kind of he's going to do what he's going to do, and you'll either like it or you won't. That's perfectly fine with me because you've done some stuff before where I look at it and I'm just like, how the hell did he do that? So like some of them, you were doing some recently that had, I don't know, what was it, Celtic etching in it? Like how do you even do something like that?
That's done with like a CNC machine. So that's pretty easy. You get a design and then you can just program it in and it'll make the design. So these, for example, are a little bit more difficult.
Oh, very nice. That. It almost looks like faux ivory.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I just did this one today, screwing around.
That is awesome. So you use a CNC machine to kind of just basically etch that in, more or less.
Right. And then it goes from the CNC onto the lathe, and I hand turn that. I make a blank with the CNC, and then I turn it. It's
Okay.
not all done on a CNC.
Okay, so it's a combination of a couple different processes. That makes
Yeah.
a lot more sense. So you got really popular doing brushes that were made out of pool balls, billiard balls. Was it, can you do that with new ones, or do they have to be older to make it really feasible to do that?
Well, what I found was the newer ones had some kind of wood or something inside them. So when you turn them, then you get this weird piece of wood inside. So I went with the old vintage ones, which was basically the same kind of material that they were using to make like older brushes. And the stuff is like poisonous. It's toxic. It'll burn your eyes. That's why I stopped using it. Because even with the respirator, it was brutal. And it puts a film everywhere in the shop. And
I think the video skipped a little bit. I think you said Bakelite.
it's it's not, yeah, it's kind of like Bakelite, but it's got the same toxicity as Bakelite.
Right.
Um, it's got some kind of formaldehyde in it, and it's brutal. It really is brutal. It's very brittle to work
Uh,
with.
so just like the lead-based paint, don't be licking your Opus shaving pool ball brushes because it's
Yeah,
not good stuff.
but I don't think it like gets on your skin or anything because they made pool balls out of it. So
Right. So you just kind of, you'll just walk by something and get just like this massive inspiration, and then you'll just turn out three, four, five, six vaguely similar brushes, and then you'll kind of move on to something else. Um,
correct.
do you ever tend to just circle back to something like, you know what, I'm getting a second wind of this, and so I'm gonna do some of that, or is it pretty much uh like one and done, and you never touch that idea again?
No, I've gone back. Matter of fact, these I made a run of them originally, and then I got a that were they they were okay, but then I got a fourth access, so that'll turn it and cut it, so it's cleaner and it's faster for me. And so I brought those back, but when I brought them back, I put them into that fake ivory, which is really, if you see one, they're really, it's really neat to look at. Yes, I bring back the old designs sometimes.
Okay. Uh, what would you say is the hardest thing you've ever done? Like where it's just like, oh my goodness, if I mess this up, I'm gonna be pissed because I put so much time into it.
I actually did one for somebody. They just came up with an off the wall idea, and it was that strawberry shortcake brush. And that's all she gave me. She said she just wanted a strawberry shortcake brush. And I don't have that one. I don't have a picture of it, but it's the one with the green and the white in it vertically. And then it had the pink on top with the dots, the dimples. And that one, I was like, please don't screw it up. Because
I'm
I
trying to
had it on
picture
the
what that would have looked
machine.
like.
Huh?
I'm trying to picture what
It,
that would have looked like.
it's on my site. I don't know if I could. I'll shoot you it. You can edit it in. Um,
Okay, if we can find it, we'll put it in here. We'll put it in the on the video for you to see. But so it was just like a really like somebody gave you totally not enough information to go by, and you just kind of went with your gut, and it turned into this like massive affair that was way more complex than you thought it would be.
yeah, exactly. And I had a lot of time in it. It took 3 pours to do. It took two times on the CNC, 3 times on the CNC, and then time on the lathe. So there was a lot of time and effort into that brush. It had flutes. It had, I don't have, oh, like this one. It had flutes like this.
Oh, nice. So that one you made recently, by the time this video goes live, it will have been, a week or two ago. But that one that you just put on the screen, Tell us what you did with that one, because I seem to remember you mentioning that you were quite intrigued by that.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that, like, I don't know how to say it. I think it's koi, I don't know, Cholla. It's basically this stuff here. It's a cactus,
Right.
and somebody was like, and I've been wanting um, to make it for a while, but they need to be like hardened with resin, and that's what I'm in the process of getting all the stuff to do it. But Bill over at Shore Shave, he had one already made up, and he asked me if I wanted it. I traded it some of my blanks I put on the machine for stabilized piece of this. So he sent it over, and I turned it, and I was like, that is really neat stuff. So I made it and sold it, and it turned out. And I just want, like, what color is going to go fantastically, what is going to look amazing, and that's what I came up with.
Yeah, it looks
I
like
just
teal.
love that color.
It almost looks like teal and gold.
Yeah,
It
there's a
really
little bit of
does.
black swirl in there.
Yeah, so if people are looking at that, they'll look at that and think that, they'll not recognize it as wood. It might come off looking like teal and gold, which is really an interesting color contrast. So as long as I ask the question, what was the hardest thing you've ever done? Which brushes would you say are really easy?
Just, I guess, just like a one color. What do they call them? The Franklin, Franklin style. Those are really super easy to turn. Or the ferrule that's got more of a, for me, more of a crown shape to it. Those are, I can just bang those out. Those are
Oh,
easy.
okay. Yeah, I mean, it seems to be what a lot of people do. I have there ever been any designs that never left paper where you're just like, I know what I want to do in my head, but I cannot for the life of me think how I would possibly do this.
I'm working on one right now, and it was a AI generated image, and I posted it, and somebody already wanted to buy it, and I was like, this isn't even real. I don't even know if I can do it, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that one. And it actually has, it has the brush and then a base coming off of it, like it would be like that. So you set the brush down on the
Oh,
base that's on the side
so it
to
would have,
dry
you're right. So it would have its own like stand kind of built into it.
for drying on its side. Yeah, I thought it was kind of an intriguing concept,
That
but
would be kind of interesting.
got kind of bored with some designs, and I was like, oh, I wonder what AI, and that stuff is scary.
Yeah,
Scary
because
stuff.
AI will show you exactly what you want to see. It's almost like it can tell what you're thinking.
Yeah.
So,
So there's a couple of designs I got off of AI, and it's in the process of being made.
so do you sell every brush you make, or are there some that it's just like it didn't quite hit people's like interest, and so it kind of just hides away for a while?
I've got some hiders, yeah, for sure. I think everybody does. But I give away a lot of brushes. I I don't really do this for the money. It's just a hobby. It got me through, especially during COVID. It got me through a lot of that. Um, and then if somebody you know is overseas like you, or and that shipping's going to cost them. I just did it this morning. Somebody's in Canada on the other side of the world, and I said I'll give you a free brush with it just to cover the cost of the shipping. Shipping costs you $30. I mean, you can turn around and sell this and get your money back.
Oh, that's nice of you. I mean, for me, I live on a military base, and so shipping stuff out here is only marginally more expensive than a lot of domestic shipping. But if you're sending it to somebody who like lives in London, yeah, I could see how shipping would get really expensive really fast.
Yeah,
So,
and I give away, like, on sites. I'll just, like, let's do a giveaway.
Have you ever done any collaboration brushes?
Shore Shave has got, yeah, I just sent him some stuff. And I've tried working with some people, but it's never materialized yet.
That's unfortunate.
I'm working with Frank Shaving right now, and he's selling some of my stuff overseas.
Okay, so you'll turn a handful of brushes for him, or maybe give some blanks to this brush maker over here, and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Okay, that's cool. At least you're kind of pushing your work out there a little bit more. What brushes, if you had to think of one, what brushes are you the most proud of? Like that felt the most sense of accomplishment, or like what I had inside my head came out exactly that way.
The 100% Ford It brushes that, and most of them I've kept. I've only shipped off a couple because it's super rare to find a piece of Ford It that big and it stay together. It's hard to turn.
What is that
It's really
material?
chippy. What is it?
Yeah, what is it?
Basically paint fodder. It's what comes off of the spray when you're spraying a car. All that paint that comes off, it goes onto the material around them. But it's industrial painting like Mopar and Ford, and so they just chip it off the paint booths, and it's expensive to get. It's hard. It's not hard to get as it was, but it's people want a fortune for it. And if you can find a big chunk of it, it's super expensive.
Really super expensive for something that you would think would be just like waste material.
Yeah,
It's kind of like
exactly.
real ambergris. That stuff is hard to come by, and even when you do find it, it's like insanely expensive. Uh, what exactly? So you've been doing this for a while. In all the different, just wildly random experimentations that you've done, what exactly have you learned about brush making that you thought was either an important lesson, or you made some huge discovery that you stumbled into completely by accident? Like, what has been the biggest learning experience out of all this?
I would think try to be unique and find a shape that's comfortable. You're not going to make one shape comfortable for everybody. It is not gonna. Everybody has their preferences, and but I don't have any. I don't know. I can't really answer that question.
That's fine. So your biggest thing is you just really don't like redundancy, and so you tend to gravitate towards uh to extreme originality and uniqueness, and sometimes you have a tough time thinking of exactly like what am I going to do this week.
Exactly. And materials. And I'm always looking for different materials and to work with. Ebonite is probably my favorite, and that's expensive to get from. I get it from Germany, and it's difficult with the translation, and it's hard to get.
Yeah, AP Shave Co. has had a few handles that I've bought and then sold that were ebonite. Explain to us, those who are not familiar, what is ebonite?
Vulcanized rubber, so it's all
Oh
got
yeah.
super hard rubber. So there's things you can't do. You can't really leave it out and like on your windowsill with the sun, direct sun, it'll change the color on it. And over time, it does dull a little bit, but you can just kind of buff it up and it shines back up.
I've
But
heard that it's a major league pain in the ass to polish.
not not for me. I've kind of figured that out.
Hmm.
It's it's super easy to sand. It takes a pretty decent polish. It isn't like as high a polish as some of the resins, but it's pretty nice. It comes out pretty nice. I don't have an example out here, but
No, that's fine. How do you like working with wood? As long as we're talking about it, exotic materials.
um it's okay. It's soft compared to like the resin. I'm a little sketched out about using it. If you just use like uh, a non-stabilized wood, you really have to get the finish really nice for it to last a long time. You don't want that water seeping into the wood and then swelling. And I Bill over at Short Shave sent me some blocks, and they turned out really nice. Um, but I'm going to get more into it now that I've got the machine that I can take the resin and bring it into the wood and stabilize it. So that'll be a better. I'll feel better about putting that out there.
So you can just stabilize your own wood.
Yeah.
Like exactly how does that process work? I mean, I'm probably asking uh brutally obvious questions, but it's not something I've necessarily thought about like until just this moment. Like what exactly happens when you stabilize wood? How does that process work?
Well, I'm just teaching myself now, but how I think it works. So I just bought a vacuum pot, and you put the piece of wood into the resin, and then it soaks in there, and you put it into the pressure pot, and the pressure pot will pull it all the air out of the block, I think. And then you turn that off, and then it sucks the resin in where the air was, basically. And then
Oh,
you
so it
have to,
literally is creating like negative pressure that pulls the resin in and kind of both A preserves and B hardens the wood.
yeah. And then basically you don't have to put a finish on it. So you have no varnish or anything on the outside, or at least that's what I'm going to do. And it polishes up beautiful. It's almost like there is a finish on it.
That's interesting. So have you ever done things like amber colored brushes, things like that? Like I know oh, what's his name? Dogwood Handcrafts has done stuff like that before where it's like those trapped mosquitoes and things like that.
Mhm.
Have you ever had any of that, come across your mind to do something like that?
I've done I've done like Legos, and what else I put in?
Legos are awesome. I'm putting those in a brush. That's that's
I've
pretty
done a
epic
few
stuff.
things. Oh my God. I tried to do so somebody sent me this huge beetle. I mean, this sucker was big. And they're like, "You want to try to put this in a brush?" I'm like, "Sure, yeah, that'd be cool." So I got it all in there and got it all done, and I took it out, and it was sitting on my desk, and I don't know what happened, but it cracked. It cracked the resin, and this goo came out, and it smelt so bad. But I wasn't in the room when it happened, so I walked in this room. I was like, "What is that smell?" And basically, I think the resin cooked the bug, and all the juice from inside the bug came out, and it was all, oh God, I could not get rid of that smell.
Uh,
So I don't do bugs anymore. Nope,
yeah, the Craig rule of brush making is no bugs.
no
So
bugs.
it's I don't think it occurs to people because I've heard of brush makers being really reserved and kind of restrained at the idea of doing like heirloom things that end up getting put inside of a shave brush, like coins, rings, trinkets, whatever, because I'm sure that resin gets freaking hot. And if you're not careful, it'll ruin whatever's going inside the brush.
I just cast some human remains in a blank. That was last week.
Ashes, you're talking about, right?
Ashes. Yep.
I bet that was a different kind of experience.
Yep. That was yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I would feel at the idea of doing something like that. Like I'd have to do a, God rest their soul, spectacles, testicles, wallet, and watch kind of thing. Like if I'm gonna be messing around with that, like that would give me the heebie-jeebies.
I asked the person that gave it to me, I was like, "Are you sure they would want this?" And they're go, "Oh, they would think this is so cool." No.
Hey,
Okay.
I guess. I mean, I've seen artisans do animal bones inside of brushes, which is interesting. Uh, I've seen a lot of bugs. I've seen a lot of animal bones. I've seen coins, Legos, stuff like that. What are some of your favorite colors to work with? I'm just kind of spitballing questions as I think of them. Like none of this is written down in case anybody is wondering. Like I'm just kind of reacting to what you say and then just asking whatever comes off the top of my head. What are some of your favorite colors to work with?
Mm, I like more orange, ambers. They don't really sell as well as I would think, but people like blues and greens. Um, but I'm more of the amber, clear, honeycomb stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting that how people, I think it's because like especially blue is a Zen color. Like it's been scientifically proven that people look at that and it is like calming in a lot of ways. So as far as like clear resin, I've heard that that's actually hard to do without getting like bubbles in it and having it be like not quite perfect.
I don't have problems with bubbles. I get problems with like little particles in mine, like dog hair. There's like
Yeah.
be like one dog hair, and that screwed up a lot of brushes. I get little shop dog hair, and I was like, God dang it. So, but the bubbles, I've got that down.
Have you ever? It's unfortunate that I'm sitting in an empty house right now because I'm about to move out of it, and so most of my shaving stuff is not with me. But one of the handles I got from you was this really interesting flame design. And how exactly do you make something like that? Is that something that's like okay, you basically have two different like pieces, and you have to like stick them together, or like how do you make something like that where it's just like clear color differences that are just like mashed together?
Oh, so you're asking for a secret?
I mean, you don't have to tell me if you don't want to.
No. So that's done on a CNC, and that one took a while to kind of figure out how to do it. But so the top part is cut, and then it's put in back into the mold, and then the second part is poured on top of that. So that's how you get your two sections. I don't put two sections together. That'd be very difficult to do.
Okay, so you will basically machine one piece and then do a raw pour onto
Exactly.
it. Yeah, okay. That's really interesting. Like I figured it was kind of like you almost like did two solid pieces and then had to somehow finagle them together. I guess you
I
would
have
have
done that, but it's way more difficult than just cutting it and then pouring.
right. Yeah, that makes sense. I get it. So I guess we can wrap this up. Let me ask you a couple more questions. What is on the horizon? Like, what are some of your bright ideas that people should expect in the short to midterm future?
I think me getting into more hybrid, I'm gonna start doing the wood and the resin and seeing what I can do with that. I was just a little sketched out about sending stuff out without a good, really nice finish on it. And then I want it to last, 50 years. I want to be able to go down generations. So maybe that'll happen with the stabilized wood.
Yeah, I hope that works well for you. I've been paying a really close attention to to what you've been doing, and so if I see that pop up, I'll be sure to ask you how it went. So I got to ask you the same question I ask everybody else who I have on the show. If you had to give a piece of advice to both new shavers, new people who are new to wet shaving, and people who have been doing this for a while, what would you tell them that they might not know?
It's not going to save you money
Ain't that the truth?
because seriously, I went into the DE razor thinking, oh my God, this is going to save me so much money. And then I bought one and I bought another one and I bought another one. And oh my God, I got thousands of dollars of money wrapped up in razors, and
Yeah,
so
it's pretty crazy. It's so you can and you would save money if you basically got a tube of Palmolive or Perazzo, a RazorRock brush, a Merkur 34C, and a 100 pack of blades, and then you stopped right there.
yeah,
Like
good luck with
that's
that.
it. That's it. The problem is people get curious. So they can't just stop right there. They have to buy this one, and then they buy this one, and then they buy that one. And then they got to get a new brush, and then they got to get more soap because now they're curious about soap. And I think very few people who buy into wet shaving just like hook, line, and sinker are going to buy just like one or two tubes of shaving soap and a couple of brushes and a couple of razors, and that's it. I think there's at least some level of experimentation there. But if you want to have any hope of actually saving money, that's got to stop real quick. Otherwise, it's going to become a hobby that either takes even more money out of your wallet, or some people like what I did, I replaced other hobbies with this one. And so it's, yeah, you got to be careful. Otherwise, that bug will bite you and you'll be buying up all sorts of stuff. And next thing you know, you've got a whole closet full of it and you're going to be going, oh my God, what have I done?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, so that's the advice I'm guessing then for new shavers. Have you learned anything that you think people who have been doing this about as long as you have might not know?
I don't think so. I think as far as turning brushes
Well, just
or
anything
just
in general, like in your entire
shaving.
the entire time you've been wet shaving with not Gillette Foamy and a Mach 3, what have you learned just about wet shaving in general that you think maybe people who have been doing this for a while, maybe they haven't figured this out yet?
Yeah, I think it's a road, and everybody takes a different road but ends up at the same place. That kind of thing. You're always wanting the perfect shave, that absolute perfect shave. Smooth but efficient, and I think that's the journey that we're all on, trying to get that perfect shave.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. We are trying to get that perfect shave. Would it be safe to say that as you go through this hobby, maybe your definition of what a perfect shave is, maybe that changes?
Agreed.
So, yeah, that's something that I've learned. And then, I'll give a more comprehensive answer to the second question. For those of you who are seasoned shavers who have been doing this for a while, let me tell you something that you might not know. You are going to get over this. It's just a question of when. It might take you 5 years, 15 years, 25 years. Sooner or later, you're going to get over this. And when you do, how you come out of it is very, very important. Like anybody who's been watching my channel for a while knows that I am trying to slowly wind out of this. And the reason I'm trying to do it slowly rather than just throwing the baby out with the bathwater is because I care about this hobby. Like I'm still doing these podcast videos. I'm still doing shave videos, even though I have decided that the end is near and I know when the end is going to be. But I think people who decide either suddenly or slowly that this is not for them, I'm going to ask you to be careful because coming out of this, uh, how you do it is going to determine your view of it when you become on the outside looking in. And I think if people just like take everything they have and just make it disappear, that there's going to be things you wish you had kept. There's going to be scents that you'll miss. There's going to be razors that you'll miss. And I think there's going to be brushes for example, that have sentimental value that you didn't realize it until it was too late. Like for me, I used to have like haircut and shave razors, charcoal goods razors. I've owned several razors that now I'm kicking myself that I got rid of it because some of them aren't made anymore. And there's no way I'm ever getting my hands on one of those again. So I would encourage people to, this is my advice for seasoned shavers. If you're coming out of this, do so slowly and carefully. That's the best advice I can give to people. Well, Craig, I appreciate you coming on the project and talking about brush making. You have a very interesting talent for experimentation. It seems like you really enjoy it. You seem to be really good at it. It looks like you learn very fast because like when you're on a certain binge of making a certain type of brush, I've seen the first one be a little rough around the edges, and then by the time you're almost done with this type of brush and ready to move on to something else, by the time you're on the last of them, it's pretty good. It's very good in a lot of cases. And so I think you're somebody who learns very fast and has no shortness of creativity and fresh ideas. And so I'm going to speak for the rest of the wet shaving hobby when I say I think we really appreciate what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thanks for having me on your show.
Well, everybody, I'll go ahead and put Craig's information in the description of the video. And so if you want to look for him to ask him questions or talk to him about products that he has available for purchase, some of that will be in the description of the video. I want to thank everybody for watching. And until next time, this is Soap Thing telling you, shave like you mean it. Thanks for watching.